Hello everybody, it's Laura Husband here from Hairdressers Journal International, and I couldn't be more excited for today's session. I have to say I've been looking forward to this one. Today's session is how the biggest social platforms can work for your salon business, and you may well recognise the person we have with us on the screen today. It's you. So if you want to use Pinterest but don't know where to start, you've lost your mojo with Twitter, this is the session for you. And in this session, we've got the incredible digital and social content specialist, Keeks Reid, and I should say ex-digital editor of HJ, have to get in there as well. So we're used to working very closely with Keeks. And she's going to be talking us through all the ways you can use the biggest, longest standing platforms for your hairdressing and beauty and spa businesses. We're across all our brands today at Professional Beauty Group. So thank you so much for joining us, Keeks, and it's great to have you.
Thank you so much, Laura. This feels very weird being on this side. I'm normally doing that spiel.
Exactly, you are.
I'm listening to all the stuff you have to say about me.
But obviously, you've been working in the digital sphere now for years, haven't you? And you've worked very closely on the HJ side on all of our digital platforms, and now you've kind of got your own content and digital specialist business. So you are in the perfect position today to talk us through what everybody needs to know to boost their business using existing social media platforms. So should I just let you take it away as the expert? And if anyone has any questions, we'll get to those later on in the session as well.
Yeah, you can let me ramble on, but please just stop me if I'm going over, because I say that I've got a nice short presentation, but you know that I like to also ramble. So
oh, we love it, Keeks. No, you go for it. I'm sure you've got lots of words of wisdom to share, and I'll be taking notes as well as everybody else today.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you everybody for joining us today. So I am going to share my screen. I haven't got a huge presentation or anything, but just so you don't have to solely look at my face. So this is me. So this is my company. It's Read and Write. I used to be I previously was the digital editor at Hairdressers Journal, and I left last year. Now I am a digital content specialist in hair and beauty, and I manage social channels for salons, and I create content for trade and consumer media. And I also consult on projects for hair and beauty businesses, corporate businesses like Laura Professional, GHD, Babyliss. So I work across the board, kind of analysing and looking at the way that content changes and develops and how you can kind of stay atop of everything, because it can be quite overwhelming. I've just realised I'm sharing my screen, but I can't actually then see my notes. Let me have a think about how I'm going to do this.
You can always talk us through your presentation, Keeks, if that's easier.
Can you still see my screen, the big screen, or can you see my desktop?
I can now see your the slideshow, so I can see what you've got on your big screen, but I can also see what's coming up as well in slides 1, 2, and 3.
Cool. Right. So I'm just thinking how we could do this. Maybe
if everyone's happy, you can maybe talk us through your presentation. You don't necessarily have to share it if that's easier.
I think, yeah, maybe I'll do that, because
yeah,
it'd probably be better for me to have all my notes with me.
Definitely. And if anyone would like Keeks' presentation after, maybe you could email it to people.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. I promise you. I think what I'm going to say is more interesting. It was just so that you couldn't see just my face. But
yeah, everyone will love to see your face. Don't worry, Keeks. We've got lots of people tuning in live. So please do start. If you're on Zoom, you can put questions in the chat box. And if you're on Facebook, you can put questions in the comments. And we will try to get through to those as well.
Yes. So the biggest thing that I'm going to talk about is not sleeping on the slept on socials. So I know as an industry, as the hair and beauty and spa industry, we love Instagram. I love Instagram. Laura knows I love Instagram. It's the most, in some ways, it's the most visual platform. It's definitely the one that's most aesthetically pleasing, but it's also the most highly trafficked in certain aspects. So it's easy to kind of get caught up in it and kind of turn away from other ones, but you might be missing out on an opportunity for really great content marketing. So today we're going to talk about Pinterest for showing off your skills, Twitter for showing off your customer service, and LinkedIn for showing off your staff. But I'm also going to kind of contradict myself a little bit here, because I also want to say a warning, which is only take on what you can handle. So a lot of the time you'll want to be present on all social platforms, and as soon as a new one comes up like Clubhouse or TikTok, you want to be on it. But if you don't think you have enough content to actually fill it daily, regularly uploading stuff, please try not to jump on it too quickly and kind of think about your strategy before you just start posting as your salon business or as your clinic business or whatever your business is. Think about the audience and think about what you're trying to portray, and then if you think it's the right fit, then utilize it. But I think it can be very easy to kind of jump on things without really thinking things through because everybody's on it.
Can I ask you a very quick question there, Keats, actually, which ties into that? What's your opinion on having one person owning the social channels within a salon, or having multiple people having access to it? Because I guess could that help with being able to be across different platforms?
Yes, that's a really good question. And I think it does vary for a few different social channels. The ones that I'm going to speak about today, I actually think you can have multiple people looking after it, and that does kind of lessen the load for everybody, and it kind of gives a few voices while maintaining a similar output. Because I think if your brand messaging is very strong and the people that work within your company all have the same aligning views and want to put out the same kind of content and know your audience, then it can be really helpful. But I think if you just give it to assistants and to different stylists and they're just uploading and you don't really have a strategy, then that can kind of work against you because people won't know your brand messaging. So I think, yes, you can, but just make sure that everybody is aligned with what the messaging is. And if you've got, maybe you can have some house rules on when things should be posted, what they should look like. You might have like specific filters or specific wording, hashtags to keep things cohesive. But you should have that in place first if you're going to have multiple people posting.
Brilliant. Thank you, Keats. That was a great response there.
Great. So the first one we're going to talk about is Pinterest. Now, see, this is where I'm like, I want the slideshow because I have some Pinteresting facts.
Brilliant.
I promise you that's the only pun today. But the first fact for Pinterest is there's 322 million monthly active users, which is a ridiculous amount of people. Try to think about that many people in like a group standing up. It's insane. But that is a lot less than Facebook's 2.7 billion users. So you can definitely do with being in front of them because you're more like, that's less content, isn't it? So your content's more likely to be seen. 7 out of 10 users are female, which within the hair and beauty and spa industries aligns a lot with the customer base. I'm not so much with barbering because I think we're a modern barber too, but definitely for the other industries, it aligns really well with that. And 97% of the searches on Pinterest are unbranded. Now, this is such a hugely beneficial piece of information because it means that the organic search within the site is like gold dust because people aren't searching Nike shoes, they're searching best running shoes. So that means that if you're filling your content and your descriptions with those keywords that people might be searching, you're really likely to be seen by them, even if they don't know your salon business or anything to do with even the brands that you stock. So what can you use Pinterest for? You can use Pinterest for salon marketing, to reach more people, for shareability, so to get more content out there and to help other people find their aesthetic, and if they're looking for microblading, if they're looking for brown balayage, whatever they're looking for, that shareability is there within this. So it's essentially a visual search engine. And also for in-salon inspiration. Now I put this down because when we do go back into salons very soon, hopefully, we're not going to be wanting to touch loads of different things, are we? We're going to be a bit more cautious with stuff like that. And if your brand has a Pinterest channel and they have boards that they can use for inspiration, that's that content on that person's phone. They're not having to bring in references or, they have that content there, or you could have it on in Salon iPads that you just wipe down, etc. But that's a really good way of helping with in-salon inspiration.
I guess they could do that before the appointment as well, couldn't they? If you're going to be a stylist or a colorist for a client, you could say, look, here's our Pinterest board, check it out before your appointment next week or whatever.
Yeah. Or if they have like a pre-salon consultation and they say, I'm a level 2 and I want to go blonde, or I have no eyebrows and I want microblading. I'm sorry, I'm not good with the beauty stuff. I don't know if people say I have no eyebrows and I want microblading. You never know.
We understand what you mean.
Yeah, so they can say, right, so they look at the shapes. This is our board of different eyebrow shapes that we do within Salon, or like previous clients that we've done before and afters. Have a look and see if it's something for you. You can use it for before marketing beforehand and while you're there, while your client's in the chair as well. So the how for Pinterest, now it's really, really important, even if you have your own Pinterest account and you are like au fait with searching for chia pudding recipes on there, you need to have a business account. It's so important. I would personally say I would start one from scratch. You can convert a personal account into a business account, and it's super easy. You just go onto your Pinterest account and go into settings, and I promise you it's easy, but I can't go through everything now. But I would start from scratch and go to pinterest.com/business/create. I don't know if someone can like type that in. I could do it, but I'll look a little bit.
Say that again. So
Pinterest.com.
Yep.
/business/create. And it's really easy. It goes through the whole process with you.
I'm putting this into the chat on Zoom. So our lovely Tina, who is moderating the comments on Facebook, hopefully can do the same for you guys who are tuning straight into Facebook.
Wicked. So the reason why you need a business account, it obviously is more professional than a personal account. So for the look and for access to ads. So you might want to start advertising services to a targeted audience. That's not my forte. I'm more of the creative side than the actual like ads revenue and stuff, but you can have access to that. And you also have access to analytics, which is the most important part, because you're really then going to see who you're reaching, because there's no point in like, obviously there's 322 million users, but they're not all based in like Lancashire where your salon might be. So if your pins are being seen mainly by people in the US, how can you localize it a little bit more? What keywords can you be using when you're using descriptions? It really allows you to kind of tailor your content to make sure it's reaching audiences that can then reach your salon.
If you're clever with that, Keats, can Pinterest turn from being an inspirational social platform to actually translating into real clients in the salon? Or would you say it is more of an inspirational platform where you're kind of sharing your expertise with those on Pinterest?
I would say that it is more inspirational, but there's no saying that you couldn't see something on Pinterest and then, be like, I want to go into that salon if that salon is local to you. It can definitely happen, but I would say if you're thinking about it in a more bigger picture, it is probably more for marketing inspiration and kind of given the aura of a professional, salon business to showcase what you can do. But you can convert clicks into clients, but I just think that if that's your aim, you probably have to go deeper into the marketing ad side of things. Yeah. So the next point is to have a clear vision for your boards. Now Laura's gonna be like, come back and do a session. I could talk so much about having a clear vision for your boards, but I'm not going to go too much into that. But what I would say is that you need to plan out what you want to show. It's really easy to get carried away with boards, personally and professionally. So don't be ashamed if you do, but I would start off with a list of maybe your most popular services in salon, and if they are aesthetically pleasing. So I'm not sure about spa, what the spa look would be, but you have a think about, it could be different massages, different postures that people could adopt at home. For hairdressing, it's obviously very easy. It could be balayage, it could be fringes, it could be cuts. For you know, for beauty services, it could be different, you know, lash extensions. Have a think about those services and have a look at how much content you have produced from the salon already to then populate those boards. So I wouldn't start off thinking, oh, I know that I'm going to do a lot of lash extensions, so I'll just create that board and leave it empty. Because if anyone then stumbles on your profile, they don't want to see empty boards, you know, they want to see what is actually what you're putting down. What are you putting down? What that clients want to pick up? That's my favorite saying. So what are you putting on show that people are like, I want some of that, I want some of that. That is what Pinterest is. So, and what can you do more of? So what do you want to do more of? You already have, you know, that this service makes you a lot of money. It's, you know, it's a key service for your salon that you want to kind of delve more into. Put that on show so that people then want to engage more of that content.
That makes sense. So you could use Pinterest to shape the types of clients that come into your doors moving forwards by shouting about the work that you love doing the most.
Exactly. And because it's a visual app, you need images of this. So make sure that you have those images already. You can obviously add to boards and you need to be able to add to it regularly. So if maybe you start off with 5 images on one board, but you have 20 of them, then you can add one every day until you start to create more of them. Does that make sense? I wouldn't put all 20 images of that brown balayage on immediately if you know you haven't got a lot booked for a while. I would save them so that you can kind of dish them out slowly.
Would you is there a scheduling platform you'd recommend for Pinterest, Keeks?
Yes.
Yeah. Just before we move on to that, another quick question. If everyone tuning in is already resizing for Instagram, can they use those resized images at the same size for Pinterest?
I'm just going on to that, Laura.
Oh, okay, so I'm jumping ahead.
So my favorite, oh gosh, I just moved my table. My favorite scheduling app is Buffer. It is one that you can use with LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. I think those are the 4 at the moment. It is so user-friendly, easy. It's like drag and drop format. You can schedule pins to go up every day, depending on what plan you have. You obviously have to pay for it. I think there is a free plan, but you only get to schedule 10 bits of content, which is quite limiting. So I would choose a professional plan. Just think about the money that you're saving when you're using stuff like that, because you're not paying another person to do it, and you're not taking the time away from your valuable stylists or beauty therapists because they're doing that when they could be seeing clients. That's how I always look at those kinds of investments. So it might feel like, oh, £65 a month, that's more than my broadband. But then could they be doing an eyelash tint that costs X amount of money while they're uploading to Pinterest, you know?
Definitely. And just to say that again, because a few people have asked, that was buffer.com.
Buffer.com, yeah. Laura can vouch for how good Buffer is.
I can, definitely. The HJ team do use Buffer, I have to say. We're not affiliated with it.
Don't hack them.
Exactly, but we do use Buffer.
Yeah. And then in regards to your Instagram comment, now this is really, really the really good thing about Pinterest is that you can just pop a link from anywhere on the internet, including Instagram, and it pulls the image through. So you don't even have to upload it yourself. But the thing that I would say to you is that the best performing pins are always vertical. So if you've uploaded loads of landscape images, then it might be worth just onto Instagram and you're pulling them through. It might be worth kind of just cropping them and then uploading them yourself instead of dragging the image from the link URL.
And just to rephrase that, because Keeks always talks in vertical, but that's basically a portrait image.
Yes.
Yes.
So landscape and portrait. Yeah. And so portrait does better, or even square, but just not landscape, so not horizontal. Yeah. Say things and I'm like, no, that wasn't the right word. So another thing to remember with Pinterest is to think about the way that you label boards. I'm kind of going back on myself there, but to just finish off the last point, you could label boards like balayage, different services. Or another thing that I think could be quite a nice idea is to give each team member a board, so that they can show their skills, and if people are booking directly with them, I think this is very prominent in like salons that do colour, or people that go to specific people for nail designs. If you give each team member a board, then they can show their clients, you know, this is what I do, within salons or before consultations, like we just said, or sorry, at consultations.
That's a great idea, Keeks. And would you suggest that each team member have their own Pinterest account, or they each just have a board within the salon's Pinterest?
So the best thing about Pinterest is that you can actually do this thing called collaborate. So your salon could have a Pinterest account, and if they each have their own Pinterest account, they can then group with the salon together, and they can both add to a board if they've collaborated on it. So that's one way you could get around it, so that they have it on their own Pinterest account and it's theirs, they own it, but they can also then share it with the salons. So
Brilliant.
I've gone through that. So yeah, like with most social apps, you have to be consistent. So like I said before, if you've got 20 images but you know you're going to have a gap in content, try to space them out. I would also say with the descriptions, so you've got these images, maybe you've pulled an image now from Instagram, yeah, it's with the link. You don't want to then leave that description. Oh, can you hear me?
We're having some cutouts. Yeah, we're having some cutouts with your signal there, Keeks. So maybe if you just stay as still as you can, hopefully it'll be okay.
So much. Okay, can you hear me now?
I know. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. So what I would say is with descriptions, if you're going to take an image from Instagram, do not leave the description blank when you've pulled that image through, because the description is where you can fill in all those really juicy keywords that are going to get you up in search. I'm really trying to restrain my hand movements. Can you hear me okay?
It's working though. That's definitely working. Thank you, Keeks.
Okay. So with the description, this is where you're putting in your keywords, because it's a visual search engine. So if you've got, let's say you've got a beautiful nail design and it's oval nails, yeah, and it's pink shellac. You don't want to just you don't want to just put pink nail polish. You want to put pink shellac nail design, oval shape, all those keywords that you want that image to be searched for. Yeah, so just spend that time on that description and it will really do you a favor. I would also say, if you do have the time, add a logo to your image. Not a watermark, because that really ruins the image, but a logo in one of the corners apart from the bottom right on Pinterest, because that's where they put the little Pinterest logo, so it will get covered up. But again, Tina, sorry, if you can put this on Facebook, you can look at business.pinterest.com, and that's a really good resource for all the best practices in regards to uploading any pins, what the trend forecasting, what they're trend forecasting for Pinterest trends and stuff. It's a really great resource, and it goes into way more information than I could ever go into today.
Brilliant. And I'm trying to group questions for the end, but we've just had a question that's very relevant to what you've literally just said there, Keeks. Do you have any suggestions for apps for adding a logo to pictures?
Yeah, I would say Canva is my favorite tool to use for creating any kind of image or graphic for social, because you can create a template and then just slot the image behind the logo. So as long as you have a logo, you can add it to your picture on Pinterest, on Canva, and then just swap out whatever image you're doing. Does that make sense?
So have a play on canva.com.
Yeah.
I'll put that into the chat on Zoom for you as well.
Great.
I hope you're all taking notes. There's a lot of sites for you to have a look at after this session.
I'm sorry, I'll add them all to my presentation and then send that out to whoever wants it. You're welcome, Michael. Right, so Twitter. By the way, my spiel for Twitter and LinkedIn are nowhere near as long as Pinterest, I promise you. They're a little bit more concise, just like you should be on Twitter and LinkedIn. So Twitter, I think, has kind of been hijacked, if I'm being honest, by political leaders and people complaining to Tesco, right? But this is a really good platform specifically for anyone that's watching that has a salon chain. If you don't have a salon chain, I would really think back to what I said at the beginning and think about if you can handle another platform, because if you don't, you won't have enough stuff to populate your feed and it will just kind of just sit there. So just think about that. But if you have a chain, not like a huge mega chain, but even if you have like more than 5 salons, it's a really good way to funnel your information into one feed. So a few Twitter facts: there's 330 million monthly active users, and 14 million of those are based in the UK. So it's a lot of people. The median age for Twitter users is 40. So if you have an older clientele and you're a chain salon, ding, 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 ding. That was a bad fake noise, but we'll so yeah, like I said, it's a really good comms tool for chain salons, and it aligns messaging. So what I do see a lot of chain salons do, and this is just personal preference, like if it works for you, it works for you, but a lot of chain salons have an account for every single one of their salons. And I do understand that because it's a franchise, right? So different people own them, it's got different teams. And I do understand that, especially for Instagram, because, you know, different people are creating different looks, and the salon in London is going to be different to the salon in Manchester. But for aligning messages like closures, discounts, anything like that, this is a good way to kind of group everything together. So the how is, like I said, one central account. You could always differentiate the different salons by using different hashtags. It's a nice way to do it at the end so people know which one you're referring to. And I would say it's really important to use hashtags because they're 33% more likely to be retweeted or engaged with than if you don't have any hashtags at all. Or if you have more than one, is worse than if you just have one. So just try to keep it to a minimum.
And Twitter was the first home of the hashtag, wasn't it? So people do search through hashtags on Twitter.
Yeah, it does, and it keeps things. It makes things trend. Like I doubt, like not absolutely no shade to people, but I doubt you'll think your salon's going to trend. And if it is, it's probably not for a good reason. But it is a way to keep things trending. And if you do see something that you could jump onto, and you're monitoring your feed, then by all means do it, because it keeps your content going. So if you know something's happened in your local area or in an area local to your salon or one of your salon group, then definitely jump on that. But don't just add a tweet because it's a hashtag because it's trending when it has nothing to do with. People do that. I know it sounds like a silly thing to say, but people do that, and it's just like, well, that your furniture store has nothing to do with, you know, this person that may have passed away.
Yeah, but, I guess that's spam. It's a bit kind of like spam, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah, it's very. Oh, I'm so sorry. My signal is so bad. Christopher said, "Can you get the info at the start?" Yes, I'm sure you can.
Yeah, Chris, don't worry. We've spoken to Christopher. He had a bad signal at the start, so yeah. So your signal was fine at the start, Keeks. But he had an issue, but he can get to it through Facebook, or he can watch it on IGTV or YouTube tomorrow, and that applies to everybody as well. So don't worry, Chris.
Good. I'm glad, Chris. And maybe we both need to get our signal sorted.
Yeah.
And that's do you know what? That's pretty much it for Twitter, because I really don't want to emphasize that Twitter is great for everybody, because it's not. And I don't want people that to waste their time on Twitter if they can't utilize it. But for comms and for customer service, for people that have to manage more than one salon, I think it's really excellent. And if you want more information on that, if a lot of people say how, then I'm happy to do another session on it. But I do think it's for a very small group of people that it would be relevant for. Yeah,
that makes sense. I'll just quickly throw in the few questions we've had on Twitter while we're on that topic. So we've had Tash has asked, is there a good time or a bad time to post on Twitter? Specifically, what's the best time?
The best time is always relevant to your salon or to your account, and you can look at this through Twitter analytics. If you use a tool like Buffer, it will literally tell you post on a Monday at 6, because this is the best time, and you should put out 2 tweets a day. Like, it literally goes into that level of depth. But I would just, if you don't have the funds to kind of use those kinds of tools, have a look at when your tweets are engaged the most. Just be the robot yourself. Like, it's just a robot telling you that, so you can be the robot and say, oh, I got 2 retweets, or I got 2 replies to this one at 6, but I didn't to this one at 10 a.m, and kind of gauge it that way. But it's very individual.
Definitely. And I guess, is it a case of thinking about your clientele as well and your audience, and when they might be more likely to have time to look on a social platform?
Exactly. And with Twitter, with all social apps now, it does kind of go chronologically, but it also shows you tweets that you might have missed. So if they think that your client would normally engage with your post, but they weren't on at 10 when you did post it, it would still show it to them, because it shows them tweets you've missed or tweets you may like. So yeah, so don't worry, if they're meant to see it, they will see it. But yeah, just keep an eye on when people are replying.
Perfect. And we've just had a couple of questions about hashtags. Is it better to use hashtags than text on Twitter? And is it better to search Twitter to use hashtags, as it was the first platform using them?
I think that if you're trying to search Twitter for hashtags that you could use for your content, you don't need Twitter. That's honestly what I would say as a social specialist. I would just say, if you're really trying to jump onto trends to get more likes and stuff, you don't need Twitter. You can do that elsewhere. Yeah, and make sure that you include text and a hashtag. Don't just put a hashtag up with a picture. Make sure you have some kind of information there that you want to share.
Perfect.
Yeah. Right, shall I swing into LinkedIn now?
Or? Yeah, go for it. Oh, we did have a question a little bit earlier when we were talking about the watermarks, adding a logo to images. That was for Pinterest.
Yeah.
And Jules asked, what are your thoughts about watermarks to protect images?
I do understand it, because people steal images all the time, right? And a logo could be cut off, and I do get that could happen. But I also think that there's so much imagery out there that people are going to engage with ones that they can see the most clearly. And if you have your app over the lashes or the nail design, it turns people off. So I just think, if you feel really protective over it, I completely understand, but that happens all the time. People steal people's images all the time, and as long as you're putting up enough content, you should feel like you're happy for it to go. Like, I know that sounds, I don't want you to feel like I don't care about people stealing images, but because you were creating so much content, you should be all right to let that out and let it out into the universe without feeling too protective over it. And if you then do see it somewhere else and someone's using it, then you can always raise copyright claim, or tell them to take it down, tell the site, contact Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. But I do think watermarks take away from an image. Like, how many images do you have saved that have watermarks on it?
It's a very great point. And like you say, most social media platforms are quite hot now on reporting copyright issues. So there is a very easy ways to report people if you did spot your image in the wrong hands.
Exactly. Cool. So for LinkedIn, this is my final platform I'm going to talk about today. So this is an interesting choice for salons because obviously, like I said before, we're very visual people in this industry, and it doesn't really feel like a good fit when you think about LinkedIn and salons. But your salons are obviously still businesses, and your businesses are hiring people. They're, trying to make money. That's what a business is, right? As much as we'd like want to create great, lash tints and hair looks, we want to make money. So you need to have great staff, and you need to kind of show off that culture because you want people to invest in the idea that your business is the best one of its kind. So that's what I would say that in LinkedIn is great for salon and spa businesses. There are 722 million members of LinkedIn. I love all these numbers.
I do as well.
Can you actually imagine 722 million people standing in a row?
It's insane, isn't it?
It's actually crazy. So there's just so many people on there, and as much as you might not think, okay, a stylist might not be on there looking for a stylist job, but your HR person could be on there. Your receptionist could be on there. Your next great employee could be on there, and you want to show off how great your business is to those people, so you attract good people back. So the majority of users, 60% of them, are 25 to 34. They're in that millennial age bracket that are constantly looking for the best job, never happy, just settling. Our generation never just settles on a job. So they're always looking to be in the best place possible. And on average, there are 40 million people every week searching for a job on LinkedIn. 40 million. Again, numbers. So, like I said before, it's amazing for showing off company culture and for hiring. And the way that you do this is to create a page. Now, I know that there's loads of people out there that would say that you should create a person on LinkedIn as a company. Personally, I don't agree with that because I think that just shows that you're trying to get more likes and follows and stuff, as opposed to just like being who you are. And I think authenticity is the most key thing on any social site. If you're doing it for likes and retweets and everything like that, that's fine, it's understandable. But if that's showing, you're never going to get your desired effect because people are going to see that you're not genuine. So I would kind of push back against that. What I would say is to get people the most engaged on LinkedIn is to have the people within your company on there, and they create a page and you repost to that page. So that's an easy thing to do. You can create a page, anyone can create a page for a business. Then you become an admin for that page. I promise you it is easy. Like, you might make some mistakes in the process, but you don't need a specialist to tell you how to do this. You can find it in settings, or just Google how to create a page on LinkedIn and not pay that someone £40 an hour to tell you how to do that. Once you've created that page, you can make your managers an admin. And then, like I said, repost your people's posts to that company. And when I say posts, we're talking positive news. We're talking promotions, birthdays, anything that you celebrate within Salon. Make sure you're encouraging people to post about it on LinkedIn, because that gives that human touch, and that human touch is what shows company culture, right? Because I know that if I was looking for a job and I saw that they always celebrated someone's birthday, I'd be like, I want to be there. I want to be a part of that team. They look like they love what they do. And we do love what we do, right? And because that's why we become what we are. And
also the charity events you get involved with, the
exactly,
media coverage, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, exactly. And also, I'd say positive news, but also struggles. I think it's really important to not show just, we're great, this is great, everything's great, because that's the facade of social media, isn't it? And if you can break that, but not saying like, oh, we're really down today, everything's crap, but saying in lockdown 1, we really struggled, and being honest about that, and how you've made changes for lockdown 2, and if that's helped you and bring your team closer to get together. Like, real things that you're doing to kind of make your company work is what attracts the right type of people. I would say, like I said before, maybe your stylists aren't going to be on there, or your therapists aren't going to be on there. But you know who's going to be on there? Fellow salon owners, brand managers, sales reps for the colour brands you work with and the skincare brands you work with, and your company stocks. Those are the people that you can interact with on there to forge really good relationships, real relationships that are going to make your business grow.
Definitely.
That's my tips for LinkedIn. I feel like that was more of a speech about LinkedIn.
But no, I think that's great. That is great, Keeks. And like you say, even if a stylist isn't on LinkedIn, they could still be searching on Google to find more about your salon if they wanted to get a role with you, and come across your page and still have a look at that.
Exactly. And just while you mentioned Google, obviously, if people are searching your salon, if you, whatever social platforms you have, they're all going to come up on the first page if they're in your salon's name. So that's why I go back to the point, only do what you can handle, because if I go onto your page and you've got one post, I'm going to come straight back off of it. Yeah.
So do a few things, but do them well, as opposed to do lots of things badly.
Exactly. And if you're worried about a new social platform starting, I've given this advice before, always go on there and get your name, because then if you want to start it, you can, and you can just make it private so people can't see if you have posted or not. You can make boards private on Pinterest, you can protect tweets, and you can obviously make Instagram private. LinkedIn, you can't so much. So just get all your vital information on there. And then, yeah, just leave it at that.
So that could be a good task for lockdown, is to start building up your content, and then you could always hit live just as lockdown ends, whenever that might be. Brilliant. And also, just one thing, Keeks, that you touched on before, but I just wanted to clarify with you, the algorithms and the benefits of being a person versus a brand or a company. I know you said about with LinkedIn, resist calling yourself a person when you're actually a brand. Is that to do with the algorithms being better for people as opposed to brands?
Yeah, because the algorithms are better for people, because LinkedIn is about connecting with people as opposed to connecting with brands. So they will always push forward people pages as opposed to brand pages. But I would just say that if you're gonna your staff are going to post, just get them to tag in the page, and then, like I said, you can repost the page, repost the person page onto the business page. But yeah, I'm opposed to it. There are marketers out there that would say you'd be stupid to open a business page because they don't do well. But what is doing well? Doing well for me is being authentic and true, and showcasing actually what you have to offer, and people then will engage with that content, as opposed to doing things and using a robot to tell you what's good or not.
Brilliant. And Keeks, if that's you coming to the end of the presentation, I will quickly try and whiz through some of the questions we've been getting in through the session. And if you do have any other questions, please do add them in as well, because we're getting to the end. We've already overrun. I thought we would do. So I'll try and whiz through as many as I can with you, Keeks.
Okay.
I'll start with the end. So Simona has said, what online platform would you recommend for a beginner mobile hairdresser, Facebook or Instagram? She needs to be showing what she can do and she needs to show others what she can do and attract new clients.
Okay. So if it says Facebook or Instagram,
she's listed Facebook or Instagram, but by all means, I guess if you have another option for her.
I would say Instagram. I know that I've literally just said like everyone wants to be on Instagram, but I think it is, in regards to like a visual tool, it's the most user friendly. You're in control of it. Obviously, you're a mobile hairdresser. You can add in contact details at the top. You can add in a booking form for people as a button, an email, your number. You can add all your contact information on the app so that people can book you straight away. And I think that's really key, because you might not have a website that could be essentially your salon website if you wanted it to be. So I think Instagram would be the best. Oh, but sorry, Laura. It also depends on your clientele, because if you have a lot of older people, Facebook might be your best option, because Facebook is just an older generation app. So your clientele might be more on there and more used to the tools on Facebook and how to navigate it.
Brilliant, thank you, Keith. And then Michael, who has a salon in Durham, he said that his staff are on social media and they're brilliant at showing off their work and promoting the salon. He feels like he personally is getting left behind in terms of the social media aspect. Would you guide him to start? So where would you guide me to start? I only use Facebook. So that's his question.
So that kind of ties into my last thing, isn't it? That he feels that, because that was the first social platform, really, not counting Bebo. So Michael, what I would say is, yes, it's definitely easy to feel left behind because there's so many developing apps and so many new updates. But I would say definitely, if you can, start your own Instagram. It guides you through these steps. So if you just go on the App Store or the Google Play Store, whatever phone you have, it will talk you through how to get your profile done. I would say that if you're starting one for your own salon, and those are your salon, your employees, they should be willing to share their content with you to kind of start that up them for you. Does that make sense? So I feel like it's not okay to say like, no, you have to post on this one because it's for the salon, but they should definitely share with you when they've taken images in the salon so that you can then populate your salon profile. But I promise you, Instagram is really like easy to navigate once you kind of start to play around with it. And if you upload something and you're not happy with it, you can always edit it, which you can't always do. You can't do that on Twitter. You can always edit it, or you can just delete it and start again. And it's doing those things and getting used to it is what makes people good at it. So I started from fresh and now I'm like telling people what to do. Do you know what I mean? So don't feel the fear of it is what's going to hold you back. But as soon as you start playing around, you definitely will get used to it.
Great advice there, Keats. And I would just add to that from a personal point of view, don't be too proud to ask how to do something, even if you think it's silly. Because if you've got people in your team who are good at it, they can show you what to do. I know I was always asking Keats when she was our digital editor, and I would still ask her a question now if I needed to. Perfect. We've had an Instagram question. She posts a lot and gets good traffic on Instagram, but she feels her grid looks quite messy. Should she be posting and then reorganizing her grid so it looks more tidy?
I would say, how much time is it going to take you to do that? Because if you're thinking about the people that already follow you, they're very unlikely to go onto your grid, essentially your actual profile, because they're just going to look at the things that are in their feed. So when they're scrolling, when their thumbs go in, they're not going to then go onto your profile. But if you're thinking about attracting new customers, I would say, yeah, it could be good to reorganize it a little bit if it's giving off a messy vibe. And messy meaning you can't really tell what the vibe of your business is. So if I go on to, I don't know, ASOS, I know I'm going to get like probably athleisure, like people posing, poolside posing, like, do you know what I mean? Like the vibe you're going to get from that. You know the vibe that you're going to get from specific brands. If your brand isn't clear or it's not clearly giving off what you want, then I would say you can archive posts, because if you archive, you can always bring them back. So you just go to the three dots on the top of the picture and then you can archive it. And then if you feel like, oh, actually, I do like that, you can bring it back easily instead of deleting.
Brilliant. And Kathy has said she's been fined by Getty Images in the past for an image that was licensed to them. Right. How can she prevent this from happening when downloading images from other kind of image websites?
There's so many free image websites. The best one I would say is Unsplash, which is just, as you spelt how I say it. I speak weird, but hopefully that was clear.
You can put that into the chat as well.
Yeah, so that's something that can happen, definitely, if you take images just from Google search and you use it on like your website especially, you will definitely get pulled up for that if they find you. So definitely have a look at Unsplash. Excuse me. Yeah, I would say that that's the best one to have a look at. It gives you the person that created it and the little the credit, so that you can credit them in your caption or on your website or wherever you're putting this. But always, if you're not taking pictures, I would never actually advise putting pictures that you don't own onto any social media platform unless you absolutely know where it's from, because you don't want, who needs that headache, really? That's what I would say. I think it's the only thing that's different is Pinterest, because that is just an image sharing and you're not saying that you own the rights to that. But that's again why I would say just think about when you're putting your content out there, because anyone can just pin it to their board and take it.
Definitely. And the industries that we're in, hair, beauty, barbering, spa, they all lend themselves to beautiful imagery that you can create yourself as well. So we're lucky in that sense.
Exactly. And we've all got these great devices that we can take pictures with, really good pictures of great quality. So that's a whole nother thing though, isn't it, about how to set up for good.
Perfect. And we've had some more questions here. How do you grow your Instagram following as a small salon?
Oh, isn't that the best question? If I had that answer, I would not be living in Southeast London. I would be in the south of France. There's no magic way to grow your Instagram following, genuinely. And I know that's really annoying advice, but being consistent helps. Using good hashtags helps. But there's no way to say that if you use good images and hashtags and post regularly that you're going to gain 1,000 followers in a week. I just think it is a lot of the time the long game of just growing that content. Engaging with people as well does help. I think a lot of people forget that it's a social media app, so you're meant to be social. You're not meant to just fling up these pictures and be like, oh, there you go, there's your picture, like it, thanks, bye. You have to actually engage with other people's content. So if you follow your clients, comment on like if they've had a baby, if they've bought a puppy, if they've moved house, congratulations from the salon. Those kinds of things helps, because when you then put up posts, they're gonna be like, oh, they said, oh, they were so nice, let me give them a like, let me comment on them. Oh, it was their manager's birthday, let me say happy birthday. Then that's how you play the algorithm, because they're engaging with your content, taking time to comment something more than just a heart. And then that's when the algorithm goes, oh, they like that content, I'm going to show more of it. I'm going to show it to people that they know, because they seem to like the same content. And then that's how your engagement happens and how your Instagram can grow. But it's no magic, oh, you're going to have 1,000 followers now.
So it takes time.
Yeah.
But engaging with your followers, especially if they're your clients, which is always a good thing anyway.
Yeah.
It will help.
Definitely follow your clients. It keeps them loyal as well.
Definitely. Great advice there. Would you recommend having a web page? And this is from Aga, who has a small business.
Yes, I would, because if I Google someone and they don't have a website, I always am a little bit suspicious. So think about yourself as a consumer in that sense. If you were looking to refurbish your house and you're looking for merchants and they didn't have a website, would you be a bit like, how do I know anything that they've done, or how do I contact them? So always think about yourself as a consumer and think if you would want that. So yeah, that's what I would say. So websites are key to me. Are they key to you?
Yeah, would you go from Instagram and then want to Google them to see what their standing is within the industry?
Yeah, or would you, I search people's Instagram immediately, because that's just like my search engine a lot of the time within this industry. But if I wasn't within this industry, I would absolutely Google people before I went on their Instagram. So if I Googled them and no web page came up and no information came up on Google that was pulled from a website, I would probably Google someone else. So would you do that? If you wouldn't, then you can stand firm. But maybe talk to your friends. Would they Google someone and look for a website before they invested in their time into them?
Brilliant. And we've got a great question from Carla here, Keeks. Is it wrong to add a bit of your own likes and personal life into your business social media? She's passionate about life in general, and from time to time she likes to add on her social media inspirational posts, yoga, vegan food, and she has a vegan salon. So she's asking, is it okay to incorporate that into her page?
Absolutely. If your salon is like entwined with your life, and it's just yours, so I think, yeah, absolutely, for you. But then if it was like a salon, if you worked in a salon and it didn't align with your life, then I would suggest no. But I think every now and again, posting about you and the yoga that you're doing and the mindfulness that practices that you do, I think that is a lovely glimpse into your life, and it gives, like I said before, the human touch to things. Especially if you know that your clients that you want to attract are going to be similar to you, but as long as your business is upfront and center. So throwing in things every now and again is amazing, but make sure that they can also see what they can get done at the salon and what they could do within your business and the services that they can interact with.
Definitely. And I just to add to that, Keith, you may disagree, but if you're doing anything that's maybe a little bit more on the controversial side that might conflict with what your clients would like to hear, then maybe think twice.
Exactly. I kind of go back again to what, as a consumer, would you want to know the controversial views? That I would just want to know more of the encouraging things that I could get involved with. Yeah. So yeah, if you think it's controversial, if you have to think twice about something, don't post it.
And I guess and as well is that you could also use the line of what you would talk about in the salon with your clients. If you wouldn't talk about it with them, then maybe you wouldn't put it onto your social page for them to see. Oh, fantastic. We have got to wrap up soon because we've completely gone over time. So I'm going to allow one more question, and we will give you Keith's details at the end. So if you have more questions, you can speak to Keith to your heart's content after this session is over. The last question, this one's from Kerry. If you edit a post afterwards, does it affect the algorithm? I'm guessing she's talking about an Instagram post, but she hasn't specified.
Yes, it has been thought to. We're not inside the algorithm machine, but it has been thought to, because if you go into the post, it says edited. So it has been thought that can sometimes turn people off, but there's no proof to that. So I would say always double check. Laura's going to laugh at this. I'm like, always double check your spelling. Always double check your spelling and your hashtags and stuff before you post. And if you have to edit it, just edit it, because it's what's going to be worse. A few people are seeing it if you've spelled. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going to be worse, doing that or doing this? But yeah, if you have to edit it, just do it, and then just kind of forego those few extra followers that might not see it, because it's not worth keeping in whatever mistake you had.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kate. And I'll just throw in this last comment from Carol. It's not a question, so I'll let you have it, Carol. She said she's got a website and all of her content from Instagram is linked to it, and it works really well, and she's a freelancer. And she's actually shared her website if anyone wants to take a look, and it's carolrichbespokehair.com. So that seems to be working well for her. So thank you very much for sharing that, Carol. Well, Keith, this time is absolutely...
One thing, Laura.
Oh yes, go for it.
Squarespace is really good for that. Squarespace is a really great website tool that you can do everything in there, and you can link your Instagram really easily. So
fantastic. Squarespace.com.
Yeah,
it's a good little tip for you, and loads of tips in this session, so thank you so much. And just Keith, are you happy to share your details for anyone who might want to reach out to you after this session?
Yes, so across all socials I'm at Keeksreid, KEEKSREID, and my website is keeksreid.com, and there's a contact form on there, so if you want help with your strategy or anything like that, you can get in touch and we can have a chat.
Perfect. And I can see that Tina from our marketing team, she's also said that if you're happy to send us your presentation, Keeks, we can send it to everyone. If you email us at info@hjoi.co.uk, you could also send it that way as well. So yeah, so you can either contact Keeks directly or email info@hjoi.co.uk. And I think it's safe to say this has been a super informative chat. It's been lovely having you back with us, Keeks.
Thank you so much, and I'll be back next Monday.
Next Monday, yeah. So part 2, we'll be talking about the newer social platforms that you might have heard of, but maybe don't know that much about. So it's going to be a great session for you to find out which ones are worth getting your teeth into and which ones maybe to just keep to one side. Yeah, exactly. So tune in again next Monday at 10 to see lovely Keeks again.
Thank you so much, guys. See you later.
Thank you so much. Bye.